You guys, chapter 137 of Attack on Titan is here, and this one is really important for the crux of, I believe, a lot of the majority of what the series tries to portray and present, and the themes and ideas behind it, and of course everything going on right now with the characters. And I'm trying to think of how I want to present this video or how I want to structure what I'm going to say, but all of this is off the cuff, so it's just going to come out however it does. I feel like there's a subset of the Attack on Titan fan base, a group of select individuals that just wanted to see absolute genocide and to see Eren get his way of destroying everybody outside of Paradis. Whereas I believe that Attack on Titan, the series, as it presents itself, is showing you the detriment of what warring nations can do to one another. It's showing you how hatred, lack of communication, putting people in particular boxes, and vilifying somebody as the enemy, instead of communicating with each other to figure out something that is better, to figure out the things that you actually have in common, and the things that you both want to achieve throughout life. And this chapter really focuses on that life, the life aspect and the living aspect of the human being, the human condition, and what we want and what we strive for. I've always said that Attack on Titan is a series about war, but what is war ultimately for? Yes, some of it is for conquering, right? But beyond that, it is to protect the things that we hold precious. We don't want them taken away by somebody else. We don't want them taken over. We don't want our loved ones to be subjugated by another group of people. And that's kind of the back and forth that has been happening throughout all of Attack on Titan. In this chapter, in the very beginning, we get a conversation between Armin and Zeke kind of just coming to some sort of realization that maybe, you know, the entire purpose of life itself is just to kind of procreate and continue on the species. As in this sort of mindless, just going through the motions, just doing the things in order to repopulate and continue on, to continue the genetic line as we go down throughout history, right? Armin presents a different idea, and his idea is simply, and what I thought was beautiful about it, is simply finding value within the present moment, particularly of great memories that sort of built him and made him who he was as a person, that actually contributed to his character development, attributed to how he feels about different characters throughout the series and everything, and how he remembers simplistic things like running in a field with Eren and Mikasa, or reading a book, or any of these very basic things. And Zeke recounts about him playing baseball with the former Beast Titan before him. I can't remember the character's name, I apologize. But they're talking about these simple little things that they value. And I think that's the idea, and that's the point behind this chapter, is to say, or I believe what Isayama is trying to say, or at least how I am interpreting it as the reader, I'm taking this in the vein of there is no ultimate meaning of life. The meaning is what you make it and the things that you put value on throughout your life. So it's a constant self-discovery as you move forward to find the different things that you value. And it's going to be different for every person. For one person, it might be running in a field with your friends. For another person, it might be playing catch with somebody that they looked up to and admired and served as a mentor to them. And so you can't discover these things unless you live a full existence, unless you kind of go on this journey of life and you're able to grow, experience, and learn things along the way. And stopping that, whether it's the genocidal crusade of Eren, or the idea that Zeke had to just stop the bloodline whatsoever of any kind of procreation in the future, ignores those things, ignores finding the value within life as we live it and as we go through it. I think the purpose of Attack on Titan is to show us these values, to show the dangers of subjugating another group of people or considering them enemies, even though we have a lot more in common than we do having things apart, as well as showing Eren as a tragic character. And I've always said this, and regardless, if you think differently, that's fine. You're free to have your own opinion and you're free to have your own worldview. But Eren, to me, is meant to be a tragic character. He's not meant to be a character that you should look up to. He's not meant to be a character that you should idolize. He's meant to be the result of a world that has thrived itself on hatred and manipulation and indoctrination and teaching people from a very young age the wrong things, teaching people to hate others, to inherently hate others, to put them in different boxes, to not see the similarities. And to do that and to create a person like Eren, who at first just wants vengeance and then continues to justify things as he goes forward, where it's okay if all of this happens because he believes he's doing things for the greater good, right? But that greater good of his also denies people the opportunity to find that value within life. People that literally have nothing to do with anything except being born born in the wrong place. It's not their fault. They're not part of the war. They're not warriors. They're just regular citizens. They're just children. And in cases that we saw children literally trampled and destroyed. And so this shows that Eren has been making the absolute wrong choice, a choice that he felt like he needed to make, granted. But as we can see all sides as the viewer, and we weren't in his particular situation, and I understand, like, within his situation and his mindset, his worldview, I can understand why he came to the conclusions that he did. I understand that as a reader, but I also understand that the overall story of Attack on Titan has been about this idea of how war, subjugation, indoctrination constricts your worldview into a point where you just view and you lash out, and you're like a feral animal, you're like a fox backed into a corner, and you just view everybody else as your enemies. So it was never the individual people that Eren is trampling that were his enemies. It was the governments and the higher ups and the authorities that were directing those people to hate him in a particular way. So the people that he's fighting, the people that he's trampling, are not the actual people that you could even consider to be his enemies. They were just people that were born in the wrong place at the wrong time. But anyways, while Zeke and Armin are talking in this Paths dimension, it seems to be a place where, again, all the Eldians are connected, and it's a way where we sort of, in a way, the characters never die. In this way, Eren, as the Founding Titan, has been able to control all the Titans of the past, but upon this realization of, wanting to cling to life, and so what I feel like is all these Eldians and whatnot aren't technically, they haven't really passed over. They're kind of just here, their consciousness or their souls or whatever it is are kind of just locked here within this past dimension because of Ymir herself, who refuses to leave, who wants to cling on to this kind of continuation of herself, right? But upon this realization that this value comes within the journey itself, all of these, the past Eldians and whatnot, start to be able to regain their sort of consciousness, their kind of individual consciousness, and are actually able to take control of their Titans once more, which might be a little bit of an ass pull. I'm not gonna lie, it might be a little bit of an ass pull, but with only 3 chapters yet, I can at least understand the incentive behind it. Granted, I'll give you that. If you think it's an ass pull, I'll give it to you. However, I did think it was really, really cool when we start to see all the Titans sort of be able to stop fighting against Reiner and Annie and all these people, and we get to see Bertold on the Colossus Titan be able to, smack something out of the way. It was really, really cool to see, and I don't think it means that these characters are going to come back. I don't think it means they're going to miraculously come back to life. I think this is sort of their last hurrah before moving on to the next world. So if they did that, if they brought all the characters back, then yeah, I'd probably be a little bit pissed and annoyed about that, because it'd be like, okay, all their deaths were meaningless. I don't think that's going to be the case. I'm pretty sure that this is going to be sort of them releasing what's left of their life to help people, to help the next generation, or to help the generation coming up and able to continue and actually enjoy the journeys throughout their life as well. So they're actually able to strap the bomb onto the nape of Eren's neck and blow his head off once again. And once again, the little creature, or whatever it is, the Founding Titan thing, tries to connect to Eren's head. And we actually see Reiner being able to hold it off. And of course, and I knew this was coming, I absolutely knew this was coming, that Reiner would be the one sacrificing himself to lose his life in order to progress things forward. And I knew that was happening because you could see the trajectory of his character. You know that he was already self-loathing enough, and you know that he had to have this little redemption arc that he had, because he came to this realization as well. He came to the realization that Eren did not, in that we have more in common than we have in hatred to each other, and our hatred has been taught. Whereas Reiner started the series attacking people and killing, he did what Eren did later on. He started the series that way, kind of learned the error of his ways as he went along, whereas Eren kind of went on the opposite journey where that happened to him, and because that happened, he was created into being this monster that he becomes. So in a way, kind of Reiner contributed into creating the monster that Eren became. So it's only natural that Reiner would go out in sort of a redemption arc in being able to stop the Founding Titan finally. And so he does, and Eren's head gets blown off, and then the Colossus Titan as well within them, holding Armin still too. So Armin's sacrifice is up in the air. We don't really know, because the chapter ends with the explosion, so we don't really know what characters are alive, what are dead, if some sort of hardening ability could protect one of them. We just know that Armin is there, Eren, Reiner, and then the rest of them are able to get onto Falco's back. Also, Zeke was there too. He got his head chopped off by Levi. which was kind of it's kind of funny actually. So I want to touch on one thing before I end the video, and that is the character of Ymir. Now, very interestingly enough, in the last chapter we saw a very brief shot of the flashback where Ymir actually did let all of the pigs free, the one that she was actually punished for. In this chapter, Zeke asks, he wonders why that Ymir would stay so close to the king even though he was abusive to her and everything. And going through what the value, you know, finding that through experience in life and whatnot, a lot of it has to do through human connection. And if we analyze it a little bit further, we look at the Zeke connection with, again, I forget the character's name, the Beast Titan before him, and Armin's flashback as well, being with Eren and Mikasa and kind of feeling that love and joy and whatnot. And then it shows in the flashback here of Ymir looking at that happy couple off in the distance and everything. So my theory and what I feel like how the series is going to wrap up has to deal with the original Ymir and her intentions and what she wants out of everything. So being within this past dimension where there's no life and there's no death, is sort of like in this limbo experience, and yet she's constantly building the new Titans, and if all the Titans' consciousness are sort of in there after they pass, it's sort of in a way where she's sort of forcing this like connection between all of them, right? Because all the Eldians are connected in some way. They can all access this past dimension. So it's sort of like she's making this makeshift connections between everybody that she doesn't actually feel any connection towards. Not until Eren entered the past dimension and actually got like an emotional response out of her, they actually did connect on some sort of like primal level. I don't know if Eren is 100% dead. I do believe that we'll be able to have some sort of like final meeting with him, final speaking session with him, perhaps in the past dimension. Perhaps we're going to have Armin and Eren face to face within the past dimension before Eren kind of passes on, along with all the other Eldians. But afterwards, what I think is going to happen is all these consciousnesses are going to disappear, the past dimension will go away, and Ymir's consciousness will be transferred, yes, to Historia's child that she is pregnant with right now. And this way, Ymir will have a chance to actually live through life with a connection to people, with people that actually care about her and people that actually care about the world and the state of it moving forward. So she will be able to have what she never did have back in her time, and the sort of continuing cycle of the Titans, you know, reincarnating, or whatever the word you want to use for it, over and over and over again while she's just doing the same thing within this little dimension, is finally going to come to a close. And that might be what ends the Titan line. It might be actually giving her a new life, a reincarnation, you know, something along those lines. And a lot of things with like Japanese media and more Eastern media, you know, it kind of does delve more into like this reincarnation aspect of life and this sort of like continuing cycle, the cycle of life sort of thing, rather than just like a direct afterlife. So I think it would make sense, and I think it would bring sort of resolution to Ymir and the things that she wanted. And Eren actually might be able to find some solace in that as well. Seeing something move forward in such a positive direction that he might be comforted in the fact that this would end the Titans, and thus maybe moving forward also end this sort of nonsensical confliction between people. I don't know. What did you guys think? Chapter 137. Put all your thoughts, comments, and theories down below. Let me know what you thought. Please give the video a like and a comment because it will help it be seen in the algorithm better. Other than that, guys, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll talk to you next time.